We studied what is the meaning of a variable yesterday, and then what is the meaning of an assignment. If I can keep any value into a variable, okay, I can declare a variable in which I can keep an integer. I can declare a variable in which I can keep a floating point number. I can declare a variable in which I can keep a string, and so on. I can declare variables and I can store any type of a value into the variable. Then we learned about how the variable should be, what should be the name of the variable, how you should define it, some rules and regulations that the variable names should not contain spaces. It should contain only alphabets, digits and underscore. It cannot contain special characters and all that, and it cannot begin with a number, all that. So there are some examples of valid variables and invalid variables. Now coming to the first program, this is I think where we stopped yesterday. I explained to you people about the print function. The print function is used for displaying something on the screen. If I use print into bracket, whatever I write will get displayed. The print function is basically used for that. Similarly, the input function is used for reading input from the user. I hope you remember what is the meaning of scanf statement in C programming language. Scanf in C programming language is used for reading something from the user. Okay, so similar to the scanf statement in Python, we have the input function. The input function is used for reading a value from the user. I'm going to write a simple program now. I'm going to open Notepad and I'm going to write a very simple program to read a number from the user and display the square of that number. Okay, so what the program should do is it should ask me to enter a number. I will enter a number. Let us say I enter 3. I will enter the number 3, and then the program should display 9. 3 into 3 is 9. If I enter 4 as the input, then it should display 16, because 16 is a square of 4. So whatever number I enter should be squared. If x is what I enter, x into x I should do, and then it will be the square of that number, and I should be able to display that. So I'm going to write a program for that now. Okay, so first what I do is I'm going to use a print statement, and first statement that I want to display, first statement that I want to execute in my program is print. Okay, I say enter number, enter a number. Okay, so the moment I execute my program, this is the first statement that gets executed, and it will display me print. What it does, print will simply display you whatever message you are displaying. Okay, after this what I do is I say x is equals to input. Okay, the second statement, what is the second statement doing? The second statement is reading a number. First time I'm displaying a message to the user saying that please enter a number, and then immediately after that I am reading a number from the user. So whatever the user enters will get copied into the variable x. Whatever the user enters will get copied into the variable x. So for example, if I enter 3, 3 will get copied into x. If I enter 6, 6 gets copied into x. So the value gets stored into the variable x. Whatever the user enters will get stored into the variable x. Okay, because I've written x is equals to input. So the input statement or the input function is used for reading data from the user through the keyboard. So whatever I enter will get copied into the variable, which I've written it here. Okay, fine. Now that x has come, I want to find the square. So I declare one more variable, square sq, and I do sq is equals to x star x, x star x. So whatever value the user has entered, let us say 3 or 4, has come into x. So that value into the same value, 3 into 3, I keep it into the variable sq, square. So I find out what is the square of that number. And finally, I want to display that. So I say print sq. I say print sq. So this is my 4 lines of program. Very simple. What this program is doing is it is reading a number from the user. It is performing the square of that number and displaying the square of that number. For example, if I enter the number as 3, it will display 9. If I enter 4, it will display 16. If I enter 9, it will display 81, the square of that number. Okay, now let us execute this program and see the output. So file, save. I will save it in the D drive somewhere. I will save it as test1.py. I save it as test1.py. File, save. I saved it as test1.py, and then after that, I go to the D drive, and then I want to execute the program. To execute the program, I have to type Python space name of the file. test1.py, Python test1.py. I have written the program, I have saved it with extension .py, and now I want to execute this. So I say Python test1.py, enter. So now see, it is displaying me the first line. So you can see that it is executing this line of code, print. So you saw that whatever is there in the first line, enter a number, is getting displayed here, enter a number. Then it is waiting here. You can see the cursor is blinking here. The cursor is blinking here. Why it is blinking there? Why it is waiting there? It is waiting there because it wants me to enter something because of this input function. Since you have written the input function here, it is waiting. Since I have written the input function there, it is waiting for me to enter some number. So I enter 4. I enter 4 and I have to press on the enter button. So when I press on the enter button, yeah, it gave me an error. It gave me an error, the same error which it gave me yesterday. Yesterday, you remember, it had given me the same error. What is it trying to say is that, I'm trying to multiply a string. And I told you yesterday that whatever the input function reads from the keyboard, it will get copied into X. But in X, it will come in the form of a string. It will come in the form of a string. Remember that X is a string. Though I have written 3 here, okay, sorry, 4, though I have entered 4 here in the value of X, but it is a string 4. It is not an integer 4. So in X, what has gone is not 4. In X, what has gone is not 4, but in X, what has gone is string 4. String 4 has gone. And now I'm trying to multiply a string with another string, which is a problem. So that's why it gave me an error here. You cannot multiply strings, it says. Can't multiply sequence by non-integer of type string. So it is saying that you cannot do this, it is saying. You cannot do this. String 4 into 4 you cannot do. I can do this if this is removed. If this is removed, then I can do the multiplication of 4 into 4. But now remember that whenever the input function is used, it will give me a string. The string gets copied into X. Whatever I enter will get copied into X in the form of a string. It will get copied in the form of a string. So I have entered 4 there, but 4 is like string in single quote. I have to remove that now. I have to convert that string into an integer. In X, the value is string 4 in single quote. I have to now convert that into an integer 4. How to convert that? Very, very simple. What I have to do is I have to do this. Let us say you want the number. No, so I write n is equals to int of X. What is X? X is string 4. In single quote 4 it is. So use this function called as int. Pass this parameter, which is your string. So this function int will convert this string into an integer and the value will get stored into n. So what will n contain now? L will contain the number 4, integer 4, not string 4, because I have already converted it. Int X will convert the string. X is a string. The int function takes a parameter that is string. This is a parameter that you're passing to the function int. What is this parameter X? S is a string. So the int function takes a parameter string and it converts that string into an integer and then put it into this variable n. So I have converted the string X into an integer and I've stored it into a variable n. So now I have to perform n star n and then display the value of square. So what I do first it will display me a message, please enter a number. Then I will enter the number, it will get copied into X, but it will be copied in the form of a string. Now that string I converted into an integer and stored it into another variable called as n. And then I perform n star n. What is n? N is the integer form of that string. So if I've entered 4, n will be equals to 4, integer. Okay, then I perform the multiplication of the 2 and then I display. Let us see the output of this file, save. And then I go to this command prompt, I clear the screen and then I execute Python test1.py, enter. So it is asking me, please enter a number. I say 4, I enter 4. So you can see that it displayed me 16 here. It displayed me 16. Similarly, I will execute the program once again. Now it is asking me, please enter a number. I will enter 9. It displays me 81 because 81 is the square of 9. So look at the program. Look at the program, how easy it is. First of all, what is happening? The moment I execute the program, it asks me enter a number because it is print enter a number. Then after that, I read the number, I copy it into X, convert that string into integer and keep it to N, and then perform the multiplication of the same because I want to find the square of that number, and then finally put it into a variable SQ and then print SQ. Very, very simple. Very, very simple. Okay, so what you have learned is how to convert a string into, we have learned how to convert a string into an integer using the int function. Like how we have the int function, like that, we have different types of function. We have the float function. What do you think the float function is used for? Okay, the float function is used for converting a string into a floating point number. Okay, for example, let us say I have S, which is equals to, what is S? S, remember, is a string because I put it in single quotes. 3.14 is not a floating point number, it is a string because it is in single quote. If I would have written something like this, if the single quote would not be there, then S was floating point number. But now since it is in single quotes, remember it's a string. And if I want to convert this into a floating point number, then I write the variable n is equals to float S. Float S. Now what will be n? N will be a floating point variable. It will contain the value 3.147, which is a floating point number. Which is a floating point number. Okay, so we have the float also. Now let us say you have something like this. Okay, you have n is equals to, let us say you have a number called as x, which is equals to 1001. Okay, let us say x is equals to 1001. Now what is x? What type of value it is holding? An integer value, correct? An integer value. 1001, it is an integer because it is not written in single quotes. If you want to convert this x into a string and you want to put it into a variable s, so you write s is equals to str of x. So there is a function called as str also, which will convert a floating point number or an integer into a string and then put it into a string variable. So there is a function called as str also, which will convert a number into string also. So finally, what we have studied, what we have learned is we have this int function, we have this float function, and we have this str function. Int function will convert a string into an integer, float function will convert a string into a floating point number, and the str will convert an integer or a floating point number into a string. So please remember this, all of you. Okay, so we have seen one example also. Now let us go further. So what we have done is we have written a program. How to write the program you all saw. Very simple it is. Declare a variable, read numbers from the keyboard, convert it into appropriate values. Either you want it in the form of integer or float, convert it like that. Perform the operation and then display the result. Okay. In your program, if you want to add comments, comments is something which is there in your program, but it will not get executed by the runtime environment. Comment is a statement in your program which is ignored by the runtime environment. It is not executed. In C programming language, you know that we can put any number of comments. Not only in C programming language, in any programming language, your program can have any number of comments. Why do we normally write comments? We write comments in a program to make the program understandable. To make the program understandable. How it will make the program understandable? Just before the statement, you can write the comment saying that the following statement does this particular thing, like that. So a comment helps people to understand a program better. If I am a programmer, if I am writing a program, what is my next statement doing? I write it in a form of a comment in simple English, so that if a new programmer is reading my program, he can read the comment and understand what is the statement doing. What is my next statement in the program doing? He can understand by reading the comment that I've written in simple English. So that's why we add comments to a programming language. Okay. So now let us see how to write comments in Python programming language. In C programming language, how do we add comments? In C programming language, we add comments by putting two forward slashes followed by whatever you want to write in the comment. But two forward slashes represent the start of a comment. Represents the start of a comment. Okay, this I have opened it. I type my program in Notepad, but I also have a text editor called as Sublime. Sublime text, Notepad also you can open, or you can open this Sublime text. Okay, and then you can type your program here it becomes more easy to understand, because the keywords, functions, all that, you know, are highlighted with a different color. So all the keywords you can see, all the functions you can see is displayed in blue color, and the operators are displayed in pink color, and all the others. So this is more uh, user friendly, easy to understand, looks good, all that. Okay, so I'm using Sublime here also, no problem. So now here, if I want to add a comment somewhere here, so I put a hash, and then I write the following statement. The following statement performs the square of the number entered. Okay, so I can write some comment like this: the following statement performs the square of the number entered. So this following statement, this will perform the square. So n into n so if like that I want to add a comment for my statements, I can start it by writing a hash symbol. In C programming language, we write 2 forward slashes like this, and then we write the comment in C programming language. But in Python, remember, what we do is we write it followed by, it should be prefixed with a hash symbol, hash, and then followed by your comment. So hash represents the start of a comment. Remember that in Python, this is how we write comments. Okay, so I'll minimize this. Let us go back now to, yeah, this is about comments. Then later on, all that is there. Checking the program, yeah, they explain about comments. Then they explain about the print function. What is the print function doing? Then the input function. What is the input function doing? And then after that, yeah, there is a len function. Okay, there is something called the length function. The length function is used for finding the length of a string. The length function is used for finding the length of a string. For example, if I write len, len, len into bracket, if I pass the string, then it will give me what? The length of that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the length of this string is 5, so it will display me 5. So len will give me the length of the string. Len, len will give me the length of the string. So please remember that. Okay, so they're explaining the program that I've written. Then comes the str, int, and float functions. I have already explained this to you. What does a str function does? It will convert the parameter that is passed to it, integer or float, into a string. What is the int function does? It will convert the string into an integer, which we pass to the int function. And what does the float function does? It converts the string into a floating point number. Okay, so this is what is given here. All that is given, same thing. Finish. So this particular chapter is over. That's about it in this. Okay, so you can just go through these examples which they have given here, you can go through, and there is a summary, and then finally there is a practice questions. Which of the following operators are operators and which are values? Okay, which of the following are operators and which are values? Star is an operator, remember, in Python. Hyphen is an operator. Slash is an operator. Plus is an operator. Which is a value? 5 is a value. Minus 88.8 is a value. Hello is a value. This is a string. This is a floating point, and this is integer, and so on. Simple questions are there. I want you people to just go through these questions and try to solve them. And then further, there are big questions like, why does this expression cause an error? How can we fix it? I have eaten plus 99 plus plus. Why do you think this particular error will give an error? Okay, because you are trying to concatenate or add string with an integer, and then again with a string. If all of them are strings, no problem, but in between there is an integer. That's why this will result in an error. Okay, I hope you know this answer. So this is about the first chapter that we have completed here today. Now let us go to the next chapter. Python basics is over. Now flow control is the second chapter in the textbook. Flow control. What is the meaning of a flow control? In any programming language, it is important that the programming language should have proper flow control statements. Any programming language should have proper flow control statements. One of the most commonly used flow control statements is the if else statement. The if else statement is the most commonly used flow control statement. Why do we use the if else statement? If there is any condition, if let us say there are two blocks of code, let us say there is statement number 1 and statement number 2. In your program there are two statements, S1 and S2, statement number 1 and statement number 2. Depending upon a condition, you want to either execute statement 1 or statement 2. In that case we use the if else statement. So to implement the if else statement, what all you require? You require conditional operators. You require conditional operators. So in flow control, first we have to learn about conditional statements. Which are the different conditional operators? Not statements, sorry, conditional operators. So which are the different types of conditional operators available in Python programming language? We have the less than sign, the greater than sign, the less than equals to, the greater than equals to, the equals to, okay, and not equals to. These are some of the conditional statements available in Python programming language. These operators are important in flow control. Using these operators you check for conditions, and if a condition is true you would like one set of statements to be executed. If the condition is false you want a different set of statements to be executed. So all programming languages have this facility. C programming language has this facility, C++, Java, all that. If then very important, without this you cannot have a programming language at all. Okay, so now let us see how to write if condition in Python programming language. Okay, let us go further and see. There is a small flow chart they have given to explain exactly what is the meaning of flow control. When we start the program, we ask a question. This rhombus here represents asking a question, checking for a condition. Okay. Now this, after you check for a condition, you have two options. You can either go this way or you can go this way. You check a condition. Is it raining? Check this condition. Is it raining? If yes, go this side. If no, go this side. So the rhombus here, the diamond symbol or the rhombus, checks for a condition. If the answer to that condition is true, go this way. If the answer to that condition is no, false, go this way. And to check the condition, we use the conditional statements, less than, greater than, equals to, all that. So very simple example given here. Is it raining? If yes, check for another condition. Have you got an umbrella? If yes, then go outside. If it is not raining, then you can go outside. If you don't have an umbrella, wait for a while, and then again check, is it raining? If no, then you can go outside. If yes, then wait for a while, like this. Okay, so simple example is given to explain to you people what is the meaning of control flow or flow control. We use if condition to do this. Okay, so before we actually go to understanding what is the meaning of flow control, we have to understand what is the meaning of a Boolean value. A Boolean value or a Boolean variable is one which will store only true or a false. A Boolean value or a Boolean variable is one which will store one of the two values, a true or a false. A true or a false. It is important to understand Boolean values in flow control because the condition results always in a true or a false. When you check for a condition, if x is less than 2, so the output of this x is less than 2 is either a true or a false. Okay, so what is Boolean value? A Boolean data type or a Boolean value is one which will store only one of the two values, either true or false. Then comes comparison operators or relational operators. Okay, comparison operators, also called as the relational operators, compare two values, evaluate down to a single Boolean value. Okay, so we have this double equals to check the equality. exclamation mark and equals to check if it is not equal, less than, greater than, less than equals to, greater than equals to. So these are the relational operators or the comparison operators. And remember that we use the comparison operators, and the output of the comparison will always be a true or a false. The output of a comparison will always be true or a false. For example, here, check this. 42 is equals to 42. Ask a question to yourself. Ask a question to yourself. Is 42 equals to 42? True. It is true. Is 42 equals to 99? False. Is 2 not equals to 3? Yes, true. Is 2 not equals to 2? False. So on. So whenever there is a relational operator used, the output of that is always a Boolean value, a true or a false. A true or a false. Okay. So this is about relational operators. So they have given some more examples here. You can see that. Now, can somebody tell me what is the difference between a double equals to sign and a single equals to sign? A double equals to sign and a single equals to sign. A single equals to sign is called as an assignment operator. It is used for assigning a value to a variable. For example, if I have, you can see here that I am using the single equals to sign here. N is equals to int of x. I'm assigning a value integer to a variable n. So if there is a single equals to sign, single equals to sign used, it is called as an assignment operator. We are using it for assigning a value to the variable. Okay, I don't do this. Okay, if I do this, it will be wrong. If I say n double equals to integer x, it is wrong. You have to use, if you want to put a value into that variable n, then you have to use a single equals to sign. If you write double equals to is always used in if condition to check equality. To check whether something is equal or no, we use double equals to sign. Okay, so the difference between double equals to sign and a single equals to sign is that the double equals to sign checks whether the two values are equal, and the single equals to sign is called as an assignment operator, which is used for assigning a value to a variable, putting a value to a variable, putting a value into a variable. We use a single equals to sign. All that. Then Boolean operators. The Boolean operators. Now there are some operators which are called as the Boolean operators. In other languages, you may call them as a logical operators. You know, there is something called as logical operators in any programming language. Whenever I start teaching any programming language, you know, when I teach people about different types of operators available in a programming language, then I explain to them that there are three different types of operators. Arithmetic operators, plus, minus, star, division, all that. Okay, so these are arithmetic operators. Then you have relational operators, less than, greater than, less than equals to, greater than equals to, and all that. And the third type of operator that I teach them is logical operators. And, or, XOR, not, these are all logical operators. Okay, these logical operators are also called as the binary Boolean operators. They're called as binary Boolean operators. Okay, look at this. There is an and in between. True and true is true. True and false is false. So like this, how many types of Boolean operators do we have? We have different types of Boolean operators. We have and, we have or, we have XOR, then we have not, and all that. So and, you know the truth table of and, you know the truth table of and. I will just try to put it here. Okay, truth table of and is like this: 0 and 0. The output is 0. 0 and 1, the output is 0. This is for and. This is for and. This is for and. I'm writing the truth table. Okay. 1 and 0 is again 0. 1 and 1 is 1. This is for and, the truth table. You all know this. In an and, 0 and 0 is 0. 0 and 1 is 0. 1 and 0 is 0. 1 and 1 is 1. Similarly, for or, 0 and 0 is 0, 0 and 1 is 1, 1 and 0 is 1, 1 and 1 is 1. For or, this is how it is. This is the truth table. In LD, you must have studied this, no? In logic design. Truth table for the or, truth table for and, like that it is. Okay, so we have and or. So let us go back to uh, this. So if I said, if it is true, true means, remember, it is one, huh? True means one, false means zero. So one and one is true. Okay, we have a chat here, somebody. Okay. Okay, so we have true and false. If let us say 1 and 0 is 0, 0 and 1 is 0, 0 and 0 is 0. So you can see that when you apply this and operator here in between true and true, only then it is true. If any one of them is false, the answer is false. Similarly, for the or, true is true, true or false is true, false or true is true, false and false is false. So you can see here, if any one of the input is 1, then the output is 1. If any one of the input is 1, the output is 1. In case of or, in case of and, both of them should be 1, only then the output is 1. Okay, I hope you understood what is the meaning of this and or operator. Okay, so we will be using this in more easily. Okay, you don't have to worry much about this. Okay, what does a not operator does? It will just give you the reverse of. So if I say not true, it will give me false. Not true, it will give me true. So not of true is false, not of false is true, not of true is false, then not of false is true. So that's why, you know, you can see this true coming out here. So what does a not operator does? It just reverses the input. If you say not true, the output is false, like that. So it just gives you the reverse. It will give the complement of the input. Okay, not true is false and not false is true. It is like that. Okay, so the not operator. So now what we have learned is, we have learned the different types of operators available in Python programming language. We have learned the relational operators. We have learned the Boolean operators. These are called as Boolean operators. Remember, okay, these are also called as logical operators, but they are called as Boolean operators. So how many Boolean operators we have studied? And, or, and not. Then there is mixing Boolean and comparison of operators. So look at this now. Is 4 less than 5? True. Is 4 less than 5? Look at this example. 4 is less than 5. Is 4 less than 5? True. So this is true. Is 5 less than 6? Yes, true. So true and true is true. True and true is true. Now look at this. Is 4 less than 5? True. Is 9 less than 6? False. 9 is not less than 6. So this is true, this is false. True and false is false, because in between there is and. If only when both of them are true, the output is true. But one of them is false, so that's why this is false. Look at this. Is 1 equals to 2? No, this is false. Is 2 equals to 2? Yes, it is true. So false, in between you can see there is or here, there is or here. So if any one of them is true, the output is true. Okay, so I think we will stop here. I will continue again in the next class, where I will explain to you about elements of flow control. Okay, so tomorrow we will start from elements of flow control. Meanwhile, if you people have any doubts or anything like that, you please write them down. You can message me personally. Tomorrow what we will do is, before starting the class, some 5-10 minutes I will keep it for question answers, because I'm not finding time to keep question answers. And tomorrow, next class, I will keep some 5-10 minutes for question answers, then I will continue from here. Okay, so remember, elements of flow control, we will do it in the next class. Okay, so bye bye, have a nice day all of you.